I can get a visual for you all so you know what I'm talking about.
Okay, and we're going to talk about this later on 8 and 2/6. I just want to be sure that we're not blocking the access to 8 and 2/6 off of that taxiway with those lights.
No, it's going to be in pavement.
In
so
pavement.
Lights.
Okay, all right.
Mm-hmm.
So if you call as part of that project, how that taxiway continues out and circles back around to like the blast pad. So we're going to be removing all of that. There will still be access out to the dirt runway.
Okay.
But like I said, we're removing the pavement that leads out to the blast pad.
You're calling the blast pad the approach in runway 4?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay. Okay. As long as I got the terminology down, what you guys talking about. Okay. Okay.
I wanted to discuss that in the future. I don't think we should take it up. I think we should leave it there. That way we can, when we go to grow further south, we don't kick ourselves in the foot, pretty much.
Yeah, I hate demolishing that part of the taxiway. I really do.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's something we'll discuss.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions? Go ahead, James. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, no, I was moving too fast. I was ready to go on to the next one.
Okay. T-hanger and ramp lighting project. Go ahead.
Okay. The hangar project has been awarded to Snyder Electric. They came in $13,000 under our award. So we have a little bit extra money to play with as far as like projects. So since this is a fully reimbursable state grant, they told us that we can use the full amount as long as it's for a project that's similar to a lighting project. So we've already added additional lighting upgrades to the maintenance building. We're also going to see about adding, once these projects are done, then we're going to see about upgrading lighting to the fire department and the snow building. So that way we'll have LEDs all around, because if you go in there now at nighttime, it's still dark. You can barely see. So if we upgrade it to better lighting, then we'll be able to see and do the things we need to do in there.
So this T-hanger lighting, you're also talking about the exterior lights in front of each hangar, correct? That lights up the ramp access?
Yes, it's going to be the T-hangers, the ramp lighting from the poles out on the outside of the T-hangers, the entire GA and terminal ramp, and also the parking lot.
Okay. Because I've noticed a few of those lights over the top of the hangar doors are giving us some problems, and that's what you're talking about updating.
That's exactly what we're talking about.
Is that going to include any of the interior lights inside of the hangars?
No. Once we're done with all that, we're going to see how much money we have left over. Then I'm going to get a quote for the interior lighting. And if it comes under or close to, then we'll either pursue doing the interior lights at that time, or we'll wait until we go after the maintenance of the whole hangars. So
okay.
It's all, once everything's done and I see how much we have left in the grant, then I'll make that determination then to whether we're going to do it now or we're going to wait until I go for another grant to fix the hangars.
Okay. Anybody have any questions, comments on that?
No, and just to remind everybody, this is 100% funded by the state of New Mexico.
Yeah, and we need that because there's several of those lights are giving trouble on the exterior of the hangars. So,
it's going to be daytime.
That will make life a lot easier. Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I think we should thank James for going out and getting those grants so fast. So you're doing a great job on those. That's going to make a difference to the airport.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Okay, terminal tree removal, James.
Okay, we've been getting complaints about the trees. Well, one tree in particular, I think they call it a widowmaker. It was a little hanging branch. It was a huge hanging branch that was just holding up there. I don't know how with the winds, but it became a safety issue, and the other trees around it was just it was ugly. So we had those removed. and it looks a lot better around the terminal. It looks more open and more inviting, in my opinion.
Okay.
I wish I'd have took a picture so I can show you guys.
Yeah. Okay, T hangar inspection results, James.
Okay, so I'll tell you now, I couldn't finish. I had seen enough. The hangar inspection revealed severe neglect to the T hangars, not by the tenant, well, not by just the tenants, but also the airport. It's poor pavement conditions, door issues, there's water intrusion issues, animals, lighting and wiring issues, and other damages that were found to the skin, the exterior skins, some of the interior skins, along the floor plates. I mean, it was extremely bad. Right now, I'm developing a plan to address the issues. I'll be honest with you, it was shocking. So I'm gonna have to take my time and see how I want to attack it. But some of the options I was looking at is painting all the T hangars, and then eventually painting all the hangars a like color. That way we look uniform across the board. Also, door repairs. Some of the doors that are so bad, I want to look at doing bifold doors, or maybe I don't know if there's another option. Maybe I know they have some fabric doors, but with the winds that we get out here, I don't think that would be a good idea. Some electrical upgrades. We need massive pavement repairs. You got some hangars with half asphalt, half concrete. Some of the asphalt looks like it's sunken down, and when it rains, the water just comes and sits into the hangar. I mean, it was really bad. So I got to figure out a way to attack it, and I'm going to be going after state grants for that. Either it's one of those hangars we'll have to probably tear it down and rebuild it. I know the state, they're looking to give out grants for T hangars to be rebuilt, and I'd really rather fix what we got than go after new hangars right away. We can go after new hangars in the future, but if we got a grant to fix what we have, I think that would be better than building and still having the messed up hangars now. So I'm exploring every option. I talk to Anthony over at the state almost every day about what I can do to help the airport, and he's helping me out figuring this stuff out. And then once I come up with a plan, I'll bring it to the board on how I think we should attack it. But right now, I'm just trying to gather everything. It's just, yeah, it was unexpected.
Your chat is saturated.
This has been an issue for several years. This is not anything new, and
Okay.
And I think, to be honest with you, and I understand the painting. I like the painting idea. Myself and the tenants are more concerned with our hangar doors
Yes.
than anything. And that second row of hangars over there, what we call the old hangars, those doors are so bad. We've got an airplane over there, and I won't hardly even fly the airplane because it's just an act of Congress to get those doors open. The hangars are still pretty good, but the doors are atrocious.
Yeah, I would love to do bifold doors on all the doors. I know that, was it the center bank of hangars, the one with the steep roof? I know that those hangars they're pretty bad. So
Yeah.
I think we'll have to tear that one down and build something new there.
Well, the bifold doors, I have a little bit of a concern with that because of our winds.
Mm-hmm.
We've got to be sure that we do not put a door in there that is wind limited.
Yes.
And of all the hangars I've been around, the only damage I've ever seen from a hangar door, and I've seen it 3 times, has been from bifold doors that fell down on airplanes. So I personally have a concern with bifold doors.
Okay.
So, I mean, but if there's some new technology out there that, we're not wind limited like at 50 knots, and
Yeah.
we can pretty well guarantee that door is not going to fall, then I'd be more than open to look at it.
Okay.
One
Well, I'll
airplane.
come up with that plan and I'll bring it to you. And because I know the door design that's there now, it's outdated, and I don't even think they install those anymore. And they're just paying to upkeep. The grease certs are on the opposite side, so to grease the wheels, you have to pull off the entire panel.
Yeah.
It's a mess.
And the other issue is the bird issue inside the hangars. We really need to attack that problem big time.
Yes, one of the things I'm looking at is doing some insulation panels where the openings are and painting the inside with this rubberized paint. It's basically, it's like rubber. If you think of like a bed liner, but rubber.
Okay.
And it protects a lot against heat and other stuff like that.
Okay. All right. Any other questions or comments? Okay, self-service fuel update.
For the self-serve, I'm still waiting on 4K Environmental to finish up their quote for me. I estimate it'll be below $100,000 because the plan is to pipe into the existing tanks, which I think will be more cost effective right now. I know the original plan was to put in a whole new fuel farm, but when you look at the area where the fuel farm is, that's the best thing for that location because of the septic tanks that's right next to it. And to build a hangar there, you won't have much room, you won't have much hangar. So I think leaving the fuel farm there and piping into it to self-serve for both Jet 8 and 100 low lead would probably work best. But I'll know more once I get the quote and go over it with Justin and finalize everything.
You still plan on putting the self-serve outside of the fuel farm, kind of
Yes.
out in that ramp area where we
Yes, it would be right in taxiway Delta. Right when you turn off Alpha, you go into Delta, it'll be right there.
Okay.
That way, when the helicopters, they can land. I plan on putting a big H right there so they know where to land and having enough holes where they can pull a hose all the way to the aircraft.
Okay. Comments?
Mr. Chairman, would James just remind my memory, will this allow us to, with the existing site now, be able to potentially in the future expand our tank sizes to be able to hold more fuel?
Yes, we have another
entertainment area, etc.
Yeah, we can add another tank within what's already there. There's a big space for an extra tank, and then we can always build on to it. We have enough room to expand to the left. It's just where the septic tanks is. We can't putting a hangar there. It'd be a really, really small hangar.
Septic tank off of what we call the old Hoffman hangar?
Yeah.
Is that what you're talking about? Okay.
Yeah.
So how far out from that hangar do they go?
It looks like it's very close to where that little road is. It's like a little walkway or road. I'm not sure. It looks like it goes all the way up to that.
Yeah, there used to be a taxiway down to that other hangar. Okay, anybody else have anything? Okay, runway 1230 Pappy.
Okay, the project is in the design phase. Moulton Corbin, they had the surveyors come out to survey the locations and get the measurements for, right now the places are run off of a pole with a fuse. And we're gonna have the Pappies run back to the lighting vault where they're supposed to be, and it's gonna be on its own regulator. So they've taken all the measurements, they've done all the surveys, and we're just waiting on the designs.
Okay. Do we have the money for that, don't we? Didn't you
Yes,
come
that's
up
a
with that?
100% state grant.
Okay, all right. Okay, airport equipment building grant.
Okay, I'm still waiting on the engineer's estimates for that. I've talked with Anthony at the state about that our equipment, tractors and some trucks are just sitting out in the weather and they're just getting beat up. So I asked him about getting funding to build an equipment building for all that equipment because the state has helped us fund most of that stuff. So it's in their best interest that we keep it up. So he talked to his bosses and he said that that's a grant that they're willing to look at as long as it stays under, I think, $150,000. So I have on the agenda for the city council meeting for Thursday to request to be able to apply for that grant. And it'll be 100% state funded unless it goes over 150,000, then they'll expect us to pitch in some money. But I won't know exactly how much or until I get the engineer's estimates.
Well, you plan on tying right into that building that you got already?
No, it's going to be right behind it. It's going to be its own building, just on a concrete slab. I don't need any drainage. I don't need air conditioning. I just need a slab, a building, and some lights.
Just pure storage. Okay.
That's it.
Comments, questions? Okay, TSA and the terminal process or progress.
Okay, still ongoing. They put up the walls. The plumbing is finished for the bathrooms. They just need to install the fixtures and the toilets and everything. The glass for the walls I think it's complete. They're just waiting on it to be shipped to them. And we're still working to get the modular building for the TSA break room. We're still working to get that over here and the pillars and concrete work done for that.
So what are we looking like on a time frame? You have any idea?
We're still on track for April completion time. TSA is still looking at June, because once they complete the construction, then TSA has to get all their equipment in. They have to do their training and hiring and everything else they got to do. So between April and June, that's when they're going to get everything set up.
Okay. I guess the airline's still kind of pushing that. I mean, are they putting any pressure on you, or are they just riding along?
No, they're just asking for updates. Also, Monday they're going to be bringing in the ERJ 145, the 50-seater. I'm planning on having the fire department do a water cannon salute, and we'll get some pictures taken. And
is it just a demo, or is it just a demo, or they're putting it in on the schedule?
They're putting it on the schedule.
Are they? Okay.
Yes, sir.
What time will that be, James?
It's a more capable aircraft. It's more efficient and it's faster. So I'm not sure how much is going to shave off the Denver flight, but it'll probably shave off 15, 30 minutes.
I see. What time does that come in?
I think they're going to bring it in the afternoon flight.
Okay.
James, can you verify that and let us all know, please?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
That's good. Okay. Okay. The airport.
Clovis
I'm
has been
sorry.
working on- I'm sorry. I was just going to say that's something the city of Clovis has been working on for a long time. It'll actually be our first regional jet service for that magnitude that we're going to have out of our airport. So
Yeah.
It's an exciting moment for us as an airport and as a city.
Yes, you're exactly right.
Cynthia just said that it is the 1300 flight, the afternoon flight they're bringing it in.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay. The airport fencing update.
The 8th. Okay. Yeah.
The airport fencing update.
Oh, the project is still in design. The surveyors were out. They took a current layout of the current location of the fencing, and they wanted to know where we wanted to put the location of the actual gates that we wanted to keep and which ones we wanted to get rid of. So we're still in design, and they got all their measurements so far.
Okay. Okay. Closure of runway 826.
Okay. Hot topic time.
TJ called you.
Yeah, TJ gave me an earful yesterday about it.
Yep.
So, runway 26, in my opinion, is a dangerous runway. Because there's power lines to the west, right in the approach path, and then at the other end, 2,442 feet away, is a gigantic ditch. So if you don't get on the ground and stop in that shorter distance, you're going to have an accident. And in my opinion, that's not a risk. It's more of a risk than a benefit to the airport. Talking to Anthony at State DOT, he told me that we have the shortest runway in New Mexico with that runway. It's also the proposed site for the new terminal that I'm trying to get the FAA to build us. And another issue, it crosses the approach path of runway 4, the ILS approach. And it's getting harder to maintain because the ground around there is just getting rougher. And I don't know if it's sinking or animals are digging it, but it's when you drive over it, it's like driving over speed bumps.
That's
I can't imagine landing an aircraft on that.
Is that the sod strip or the grass strip?
The grass strip, the turf. Yes, sir.
Does anyone actually use it anymore?
Yes, they do.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
From what I'm hearing, it's very seldomly used.
I know we used to tow gliders off of it 30 years ago, but I didn't know anybody still used it.
Well, and here's the issue. You've closed the runway, haven't you?
Yes, it's closed because the construction stuff is down there.
Okay.
So it's only closed for that reason.
Well, and see that brings up an issue that we've got, and I was not aware of this until TJ brought it to my attention. This is something that the board should have been apprised of long before this happened. That runway, in your opinion, is rough, and I'll be the first to admit it is rough because we haven't had the rain so that you guys could go out with the packer and pack it. But that runway's been here since we've had the airport, and it's a vital runway for our small airplanes, particularly because we're going to be closing these main runways for this repair. We've got to have something that we can land more into the wind with these light airplanes, especially the tail draggers. And we still have 4 or 5 tail draggers on the airport. And so that runway needs to be kept open. It really does. And we can look at the long time, effectiveness of it, but we've talked about this many times before in airport board meetings, and it's always been the consensus. We need to keep that runway available because in this country, a lot, not always, but a lot of our high winds come out of the west. And if we get caught out, you can't use the jets, you can't use the twins, but all the small airplanes, the 172s, the 182s, the 210s, all the tail draggers, if they get caught and they can't handle the crosswind on 422, they'll use 26. So I am adamantly opposed of closing that runway, even while we've got this extension this project going on. We need that runway as an emergency runway.
Okay. Right now, with the staging area and the haul roads, that runway can't be open.
That's the reason I didn't want that haul road to be put there in the first place. I wanted that haul road to come in where we had it before, where we didn't affect that runway. But there again, this board was not consulted on a lot of this. And that haul road should have been come in off of our airport road where we did it before when we were doing the extension for the runway. So now we've crippled the airport for these crosswinds that we're going to have in the next few days. So
Mr. Chairman, I have a question for you. And I don't know, I'm not a pilot. And so if you could explain to me in layman's terms, we obviously have the main runway, the long one, and then we have the crosswind runway. And I know it's a slightly different angle than the grass runway. Is there something that prevents those, I'm guessing, smaller aircraft from not landing on the crosswind runway versus landing on the sod runway?
Okay, like I said a while ago, a lot of our high winds, particularly in the springtime, and James, you're going to start noticing this. A lot of those high winds come around 260, 270 degrees. And if you look at the crosswind component of those light airplanes, you're only looking at a 20 knot crosswind component. So if you've got a 30 knot headwind, you've got a 30 knot wind coming out of 260, and you're trying to land on 22, that's a 40-degree crosswind. And if you start working with crosswind components, that's outside of a lot of the crosswind component capabilities of these light airplanes. And it's sure out of the crosswind, and it's the same thing trying to land on 30. So sure, we don't use that runway that much. A lot of our tail draggers use the runway because they'd rather land on the grass than they had the pavement. True, we don't have a lot of tail draggers here anymore, but I've had to land on 2.6 in a 172 because we got caught in 30 and 40 knot winds, and that's the only runway I had to get on the airport. So that's the main reason is the crosswind capability of the light airplanes. So, you know, and we've had airport managers before that talked about, you know, really not wanting to maintain it. To be honest with you, you know, we haven't been able to maintain it in the last 3 or 4 years because we haven't had the decent rains, and we need a hard rain so that that's soft, and then get those heavy packers out here and pack that down. And then it's great for these 172s, 152s, 210s, and all the tail draggers. So, you know, we may have closed the runway right now because of this construction, because we didn't put the haul road where it needed to be. But in the future, I am adamantly opposed against closing this runway. And I think TJ expressed his concern too, because he called me. No, I saw him at a basketball game, and he said, "Have you heard what they're doing to 826?" And I says, "No, I haven't." He said, "They're trying to close the runway." So that's the reason.
Well, if we're gonna keep it open, there's a few things we need to do to make it safe. The way I look at it is the same way the FAA looks at it. With those power lines on the approach and that ditch at the end, we're going to have to do something with it to be able to keep it open. I mean, it's a short runway and it's got obstacles all around it, which
it's short and it has obstacles. And is the FAA giving us fits about it?
No, they don't look at that runway that much, but their criteria is what I'm going by. So
well,
if we have it surveyed and we look at the approach surfaces, I'm pretty sure those power lines itself are in the approach surfaces for that runway.
Yeah, and I agree with you there. But the fact of it is, the only time this runway is going to be used is, number one, in the event of high crosswinds. Okay. The other time it's used is tail draggers that are stow equipped. And, you know, you take your typical student pilot with a 172, we won't even train them on 826 until they get up into their commercial rating. We won't even put them on that runway because it is short and we have the obstacles. But to train professional pilots with that kind of a situation, we do. You know, once they get started in their commercial rating, we do that. So I agree with that, but I also disagree in the fact that the pilots have to have some responsibility, and that runway takes their responsibility. And I don't know if we hadn't had that runway a couple of years ago, I don't know where I'd gone with that 172. I sure couldn't have got home with it. And so when it comes down to it, you're going to have 2 board members that's going to be very adamantly opposed against closing that runway. Now, doing some maintenance on it, you know, as soon as we get some rains, and we all know that it's rough, and the only time we use it's in an emergency or if we're practicing tailwheel off airport landings.
Okay.
But until the FAA starts giving us fits about it, I think we need to leave it alone. We just maintain it.
And
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I have a quick question. I mean, and one thing, I mean, when I look at it from an owner standpoint, and if there are things that are, and I understand if the FAA's not giving us fits about it, but if there are certain requirements and regulations that are underneath FFA's guidelines, and we're not adhering to those, I have to ask the question: does that put us in a position of liability?
Well, that's
And
the reason I asked James a question is if the FAA is giving us any hard times about that, because I don't think that they are right now.
They're
they
not.
just may not be aware of it. And as soon as if there was an accident, once again I get the job of hypothesizing things. And if there was an accident and it shouldn't have been opened in the first place because we did have potential for there not to be within the regulations, I don't know if we're opening ourselves up to liability. So that's something that I think also needs to be checked and considered to make sure that we're not opening up ourselves to that, especially as a city.
Yeah, I agree. If there's a regulation, I 100% behind you. But as of right now, I don't know of any regulation that precludes us from flying on that runway, and that is going to be pilot responsibility.
And once again, I don't know where that begins and ends. So
Yeah.
so we'll read.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll do more research on it. I need to look at those approach surfaces. If we can get farmers to, because I want to bury all those electrical lines around the airport anyway. When I look at them, I just see obstacles. So I want to get them all buried anyway. But if we can get it buried and maybe extend the runway a little bit, we have to look at the cost and everything. But as it sits right now, I'm afraid of something happening and us being liable, like Justin said.
Hey, Justin, if we need to maintain that surface, is it cost prohibitive to use your trucks and sprinkle that where we can pack it down?
Yes.
Correct. I'd have to get, James could get with in Public Works to get our water trucks out there to water it and then bring in our compactors, a pneumatic wheel, obviously, so one put a sheep's foot would put dents in it, but a pneumatic roller may be able to compact it.
Typically, what we've done in the past, Lonnie, is when we was having rains, a lot of times in the springtime, after we'd get a good hard rain, they'd take the Public Works would bring out their big heavy packer that they use on the asphalt, and they'd just spend half a day running up and down that packing it. What happens is during these winds, that grass grows, but then that wind blows that dirt out from around that grass, and that's what causes it to be rough. And then whenever it's wet, you can pack that grass back down, and it packs it down into the dirt, and it's smooth enough to operate these tailwheel airplanes and the small light airplanes off of. So
Okay, thank you.
So we have to keep it closed right now because of the haul road. Is that
because of the haul road and the staging area? They're staging pretty close to the runway.
pretty close? But what criteria are we using to actually close that runway?
They're inside of that runway safety area, which is that one's 100 feet off center line. It's either 100 or 100 feet off a center line.
That's
So
further away than runway 4.
Yeah, but they're inside of the runway safety area for runway 826.
Okay.
How long will
Well,
that way be closed?
You know, that's one of the issues that, and I'll just bring the topic up right now. That's one of the issues that TJ and I have. Being board members, we're not being kept apprised on some decision making. That's kind of the responsibility of the board to help the city make good decisions. And some of these locations should have been talked about, so some of these things could have been discussed. And maybe, you know, I stated way back when that haul road didn't need to be there, but it got put there anyway. and this was before you, James. This isn't your fault, okay? But the fact of it is, none of this has been brought to the board until after the fact. So, all right, TJ's and I's thoughts has been brought in everybody. Okay.
Okay. I'll do some more research on it. And I'll find a way to, I don't know, that ditch is my main concern. You guys have been landing over that power line this long, but it's that ditch. When Lee showed me it, I just said, wow, I've never land on this runway.
Well, and I'll be perfectly honest with you. James, when you finally get out here where we can do some flying and I fly with you, I'll show you what it takes to land on that runway and why I have no concerns with what we've got there.
Okay.
And that's the reason that we need to look at that whole real close before we make some real rash decisions on that runway. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. If anybody doesn't have anything else, I'll get off my high horse and we'll go into discussion on the airport name change. James.
Okay, I got a little narrative that I wrote, so bear with me. Okay, the airport serves the city of Clovis and the surrounding communities with essential air service. The airport is the only airport providing commercial passenger services within 100 miles of the area and supports the communities of both eastern New Mexico and West Texas by connecting those communities with other regional and national markets. By definition, Clovis is a regional airport. To change the name from Clovis Municipal Airport to Clovis Regional Airport would expand upon the growth and potential of the airport and is a marketing strategy that can be used to boast the airport's popularity in the area. As a regional airport, Clovis will invite more business and air travelers to the city and make it easier to market the airport to potential cargo operators who will see Clovis as not just another local airport, but a springboard to other business opportunities in and around the city. That kind of rolls over into the new logo also. I think rebranding the airport, making it more modernized and more, what's the word I'm looking for? More looks better to business and travelers. I think rebranding the airport would do wonders for not just the airport, but also the city. Because when you think of Clovis Municipal Airport, most people think it's a city-run airport. It's podunk, it's backwoods, But if we change the name, we change the logo, and we change the way we think, I think it shows confidence. And I think that's what businesses and travelers look for in an airport. They look for confidence. So instead of people driving to Lubbock or Amarillo to catch flights, when they see Clovis Regional Airport, they think, well, they probably have passenger service. I'll look that up. But when you think of a municipal airport, you think of general aviation travel or things like that. So I think if we change the name to regional, I think it'll be a great marketing strategy for the airport. And again, like I said, by definition, Clovis is a regional airport. There's really no, other than marketing, and it sounds better, there's really no other benefits from it, just a rebranding.
Yeah, but
Well, I'm all for it. What are we getting into with the FAA and legalities on name change? Nothing?
We just submit that once the commission approves the name change, we send them that letter saying that the city of Clovis city commission approved the name change. We send them the paperwork and our name officially changes.
Okay. No new standards, no legalities, no nothing.
No,
Okay.
sir, we'll still be CVN.
Okay. And that was my next question, if they're going to change the identifier. Okay. Okay.
Justin, what's your thought on that?
This is something that James brought to us. and I fully support it. I think this is a great opportunity. You guys have heard me talk about how big of an asset our airport is to us, and wanting to expand it and wanting to grow it. You guys already see James's enthusiasm for the airport with the grants he's, I mean, gone in and after already. I've spoken with I've spoken with one of our legislators, and he's very supportive of this. Thinks it's a great opportunity for us. I mean, just simply from, as Dan mentioned, a marketing standpoint, when we start thinking about the Clovis Regional Airport versus the Clovis Municipal Airport, you start thinking about, hey, we now actually have a regional jet providing passenger service in and out of our airport. So it is something I fully do support and look forward to.
Mr. Chairman, I kind of think that with the regional jet coming, that this might be a great opportunity to at least get started on that process. It does make sense, the regional jet and the regional airports, you know, that sounds good.
Is this something we need to make a motion? We need to approve? Okay. Does anybody else have any other comments?
No.
Before you do the approval and motion, I got the designs for the new logo with the new name. I can put it on the presentation. You want to see it? And then you can tell me which one you got.
Vote on the name change first, then they can take a look at the logos.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll look for a motion on the airport name to regional first, from municipal to regional.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move that.
Okay, we have a motion to name to change the name from municipal to regional. Do we have a second?
I'll second it, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, we have a first and a second. Those in favor of changing the name from municipal to regional, say aye.
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 Those opposed, say no. Okay, take it to commission. Let's see if we can get it done. I think it's a good thing.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, that'll move us into airport logo.
Okay. Let me this screen. Okay. So we have says 10, but maybe 10. We got 10 designs. They mainly look the same. The only difference is the font for regional airport. So it's the font that's different. We narrowed this design down from 107, I believe we got submitted. We submitted a design contest through 99 Designs. I got that from Kelsey down at City Hall. She told me to try that. And basically, you put in what you're looking for, and you have designers, they come in and they design. So I put, we're looking for a new logo for an airport in New Mexico. And we got designs all across the board. And we fell in love with the Zia symbol. So once somebody put the Zia symbol in, we said, hey, find a way to encompass the Zia symbol into the design. And the designers, they came up with some pretty good designs, and we narrowed it down to these designs that are left.
I'm only seeing one. Am I missing something?
Yeah, I gotta.
Oh, you got to move through it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I wish I could have them all, but you may not be able to see them. Let's see if you can see them.
I like the design. I'm not sure about the colors.
So would it be better if I open them? I mean, we can change the colors also.
Yeah.
But would it be better if I did one big screen for each, or do you like the? I don't know which one's best.
Here's kind of what I'm thinking, and you know, I'll do whatever the rest of the board wants to do. I'm thinking let's narrow it down to 4 or 5 that you really like, let's get them to the board and give us time to study them and kind of look at them a little bit. Because once we decide on a design, I mean, we're kind of committing to it.
Okay.
I mean, we can get the name through city commission and get that started, and then kind of, see what we like as a design.
Okay. That'll work.
Does everybody agree with that?
Yep, sounds good to me.
Me too.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
Mr.
let's-
Chairman, I would agree.
That as well. In regards to the colors, the city of Clovis actually is going through a branding initiative citywide. And so and as part of that branding initiative, they do come up with logos and color schemes, and that we'll try to keep consistent throughout all of our departments. And so that may be something that ties back into maybe some of this color scheme as well. But yeah, let's definitely get the name change through the city commission first, and then James, if we can narrow this down, that'd probably help a lot, and then get it out to them so that they have a chance to review them.
Okay.
when's the city going to have their color change? Do you think?
It may be some time, but so believe me, we would make a decision here, and if in the future we need to think about those colors in the future, we could certainly bring it back to the
So we could approve a design and then worry about the colors to match the city colors at a later date.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So I move that we table this until until the next meeting, and James, get us all copies of what you think is the best. And at the next meeting, then we'll make a decision.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I'd second that.
Okay, we have a first and second. Do we have a vote on tabling it? All in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed say no. Okay, it's tabled till the next meeting. And whoever comes up with the agenda, go ahead and put it on the agenda for the next meeting. Okay, we'll move along to monthly fuel billing.
Okay. With the agenda, we sent out the draft letter for ending the monthly billing for the monthly fuel billing for non-commercial customers. Has everybody had a chance to review it?
I did.
Okay. Any comments or questions on it?
No, sir, I don't have any.
Okay.
What did you think?
Well, I think it's going to start increasing. I really do. Once we get a little bit more further away from this COVID deal, we're seeing more interest in travel. So I think it's going to increase.
I see.
So
As far as the process concerned, Donnie, is this a hindrance or a help to the owners?
what's that?
The new billing program.
No, I think the billing program, because we elected to handle commercial operators as a separate entity. I think everybody I've talked to on the private entity likes the credit card and the current billing process after we get the credit cards up and going. And you've already started that, haven't you?
Yes, that's been in place.
Yeah. And everybody I've talked to, they like that now.
Good.
Okay.
Yeah. I just didn't want us to get the airport tied down where we couldn't negotiate with commercial operators. And that was my whole crutch of that. So,
Okay. Thank you.
okay. Yeah.
So I guess I'm just looking for the go ahead to implement it starting with March 1st. This month would be the last month that we're doing monthly fuel billing for non-commercial.
Did we not approve that last meeting? We didn't? Oh,
No, sir.
okay. So we need a motion to go ahead and approve it to get started in it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll make a motion that we approve it.
Okay. We have a motion to approve it. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second to approve it. Those in favor of say aye.
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 Those opposed say no. Okay. Okay, James, you're cleared to go.
Okay.
Before we end, I've got one question from the last meeting, and I'm not sure that I remember the answer. I saw in the minutes that James had rewritten the airport rules and regulations. I have not seen a copy of that. What?
Yes, they haven't been implemented yet. Once we get the new logo, and I go over it with legal and Justin, then we're going to bring it up to the board for approval. It's
Okay.
not going to be a major change. It's more of a formatting issue. I have a formatting issue. So if it doesn't flow right to me, I have to make it flow right. So the wording itself, there's not much changing to the wording. It's how it's formatted and how it looks.
You're not changing the rules and regulations. You're just changing the format and the wording.
Yes, sir. There'll be some slight changes. I need to do some better wording for preventive maintenance and major maintenance for the T hangars, but it's just to clarify what we mean, because we're having some issues where some aren't understanding what is considered major maintenance inside the T hangar.
I understand.
I'm better clarifying exactly what that means and what's not allowed.
Okay. Be sure and get that to us well in time before the board meeting so that we can study that, because that
Yes, sir.
rules and
I'm still
regulations
working
get
on it.
kind of serious.
Yeah, I reformatted it, but I'm still working on it. So it's not flowing right when I reread it. So I'm still working on it. Last meeting I should have said I'm rewriting instead of I've rewritten, because
And I don't know why. I don't know if I didn't catch it at the last meeting or what, but I was going through these minutes. It kind of struck a tone with me. So,
Okay.
okay.
And Mr. Chairman, once he's gotten that in a position where we're comfortable, we'll definitely be pushing that draft out. And so at the first meeting, what we can have it as just like a review item only. And that way we can have any discussion with it, get feedback from the board, make any changes that the board sees fit, and then bring it to you back at another commit or another meeting for final approval.
Okay. James, I think I made mention to you at one time or another that historically we've had some issues on the airport, and rules and regulations have been one of those very adamant, very contested issues.
Mhm.
And that's the reason that we take this kind of seriously, because it gets kind of heated sometimes. So,
Okay.
okay.
Well, I keep a fire extinguisher next to me, so I'll put out the fires.
Yeah, I know. Believe you me, we want to keep those problems down all we can.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. Does anybody else have anything? Okay. I say that we're adjourned until the next meeting at 5:30 on Tuesday, March the 2nd. And I thank everybody for showing up.
Thank you.
And hopefully March the 2nd, we won't have to do this virtually. I hope.
Well, I hope so too.
Okay. Thanks everybody, and good night.
All right.
Good night.
Night.